There are many times in life where we have this burning desire to create, to do something extraordinary and unique. But too often do we stop ourselves before even starting. This is a message for anyone who's waiting to start. You see, perfection is this funny thing we all seem to chase at some point. It's something that in theory should be so wonderful and flawless, but in reality causes so much hesitation and even heartache. Perfection is something I used to obsess over. When I was a teenager, I had countless ideas, but none of these mattered because it had to be the perfect one, the perfect idea, the perfect plan, the perfect timing. But life isn't meant to be perfect, so instead, the idea of perfection can become poison. It can hinder us from expressing ourselves authentically, and the pursuit of it can leave us feeling less than what we are. Now that I'm at the cusp of my mid-20s, I thought I'd share a bit about how I've let go of perfection over time, and hopefully how you can too. That's better? I think a general rule of thumb in anything that I felt in my life is it's always worth digging a little bit deeper into why you feel certain ways. And so I thought a lot recently about why we, or I guess I in particular, strive for perfection at times. A few reasons came to mind, but I think the biggest one is that we think that perfection is a shield to being judged or being embarrassed. So if we put out the best work possible, it leaves less room for judgment and shame. The thing about that, though, is that people will judge you no matter what. And it hurts a lot more if you put a lot of effort and time into something only for someone to leave a weird comment or say something that you didn't expect. In many ways, I feel like we attach our work and the things that we create as parts of our identity. And because we do that, we want to strive for the highest bar of quality. Because again, when you look online, you see someone's work, that is their first impression or their only impression of you. And so it's natural to want to feel like you want to create something perfect or as best as possible. But I think that can hinder us a lot. I think it can actually shield a lot of parts that make us who we are. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in the second section. Another reason why I think we strive for perfection is because when we see everyone else's work, we use them as a baseline. We think that that is perfection or the bar of quality that we want to reach. And so we really are our own harshest critics in a sense that a lot of the time what we create and what we think is imperfect could be perfect in someone else's eyes. And so it's this tricky balance of allowing yourself to show up and just be seen, but also let go of that fear of judgment. The way I see it, perfection can be the killer of creativity. I think that some of the best ideas or the best things that we've created usually catch us unexpectedly because they aren't the perfect thing that we once thought that they would be. Because in reality, perfection is subjective. What you think is perfect might be different from what I think is perfect. And so it's really tricky to figure out what that really means for ourselves. I think the biggest cost of perfection is just the idea that we strip away parts of ourselves, those rough edges, those little minor mistakes or errors. That's what makes us who we are at the end of the day. It's not the end journey or the perfect output. It's all the little bumps and things that we kind of faced along the way. And I think there's a certain beauty to that. I think there's something so special about being able to see the failures or the bumps that made someone who they are, rather than just seeing the perfect output at the end. It gives you a deeper understanding of that person and what they value and who they are, rather than just seeing that end output that they want you to see. I think even in my own life, perfection has stopped me a lot from doing things that I really wanted to do. It can turn a quick video idea into something that takes weeks, if not months, to edit. It can turn a project that was once fun into something stressful because of the pressure we put on ourselves to make something great. And so I feel like I've just seen a lot of ideas and cool things just die over time because we just never are able to reach that level of quality or perfection that we have in our head. But over the past year, I think I've realized that the best thing that you can do for yourself is just keep creating, keep putting stuff out there and testing the bounds of perfection and imperfection. I think even for me, when I edit my videos, I tend to leave a few minor errors or things that I think could be improved just because I know it's not worth dwelling over. The faster that you can create something and put something out there, the faster you can work on the next thing and make that 1% better. So in that sense, I think that striving for perfection can be this killer of momentum. Because once you lose momentum, it's really hard to get back onto it. It's really hard to push yourself to continue to finish that project. And so that's why a lot of people see themselves starting projects and not necessarily finishing them in the end. As you get older, you start to realize that perfection doesn't really exist, and there are better ways that you can spend your time. So how exactly do we get rid of or let go of this idea of perfectionism? The first thing that comes to mind is this thing that I like to call activation energy. Because I think that creating and pursuing your ideas is both a science experiment and an art form at the same time. It's a science experiment in a sense that activation energy is the amount of initial energy needed to make a chemical reaction occur. And I think in many ways, starting your ideas is very much so the same. You need to make that barrier to entry small enough so that you can just get started and get the ball rolling. But again, oftentimes when we envision this perfect idea, we see 1,000 steps ahead instead of the first step. And so if you isolate what that first thing that you can do is, it makes it a lot easier and attainable to start to go ahead and achieve. And then again, I think that pursuing your ideas or creating stuff is an art form in a sense that it's very subjective and imaginative, creative. It's all of these things that are very based on you and your perception of the world and how you want to showcase that. And because of this, there is never really a right or wrong answer. There's always going to be people who love your work or don't love it. And that's totally okay. That's a part of life. As long as you have the confidence in whatever it is you're making and you feel strongly and you know why you're making it in the first place, I think that goes a really long way. When it comes to letting go of perfectionism, I think another big part of it is addressing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. So let's say, for example, like me with video creation even. When I first got started, I remember watching a lot of videos online and being like, wow, I can't even fathom how these people made that video, how they edited it. I don't even know what tools they use, anything. And so when you see that gap, it's very intimidating. And it's very easy to give up and bail on your idea right away just because you feel like you can't even attain that level of quality. But I think one of the biggest mindset shifts I had is just being okay with documenting the journey and showcasing the steps along the way. Like when I create content, I don't always try to produce the most high quality, best thing ever, which sounds kind of weird, to be honest. But I think that I'd much rather have people see the journey and see my videos getting better over time than continue to raise this bar for myself and feel like I need to outperform each time I create a video. Because I think when you have fun and you learn how to love the process, then it becomes less so about perfection and making that output the best it can be, but embracing that creative process and seeing it as an iterative thing that just keeps changing and evolving as you grow. It's just understanding why you want to be perfect in the first place. What are you trying to prove to yourself or to someone else? I think when you understand that, understanding how to deal with perfectionism becomes a lot easier. And I know it's not easy to just look at it and turn off that thought. If it was, then the world would be very different right now. But the fact that you're watching this video right now shows that you are self-aware in that sense. You are aware that perfection is something that you strive for. Or maybe you're curious and you're just here. If so, thanks for being here. But yeah, I don't know. Even this video, very unscattered. Again, I kind of made it in a way to prove a point to myself as well that I don't need to create perfect things all the time. So if this video didn't make sense or feels all over the place, that's why. Please let me know how I can improve, I guess, or any thoughts. But thanks for sticking through it and watching. I hope you found some useful tips here, and I hope that you just stay creating and embrace the journey, because that's the best thing that you can do. Okay, but also, I feel like the ability to look back at a previous version of yourself or a past version of work and cringe at it is such a beautifully underrated thing. Like, how cool is it that you can tangibly see your growth? And like, yes, I know it's measured by how much cringe you feel, which is not a great feeling, but it's pretty cool. I don't know, like cringing at your old videos, cringing at your old versions of work, or even how you used to be, just is a sign of growth. It means that you are now at a different place in your life, and that's a pretty cool thing.